Welcome to another edition of the Music Dreams USA Radio Artist Spotlight Show, being brought to you by Blue Shamrock Music and my man, Mr. Stephen Brady. And this week's guests are certainly not going to disappoint you. What an interesting band they are. They are called Runaway Dixie, and they consist of Jim, his wife Virginia, and Lynette. They're on the set with us here this evening, and in a moment here, we'll go live to find a little bit more about Runaway Dixie. Again, if you're first time watching here, if you're an upcoming aspiring artist, if you're looking to get your name out there, make sure you check out Blue Shamrock Music and Mr. Stephen Brady. Go to Blue Shamrock Music, and he'll take real good care of you. Again, our show is all about promoting and actually taking care of all the artists on our show here. We are worldwide, and so if you've not had a Hurricane Burrow touchdown, they actually touched down in our studios here not too long ago. So Hurricane Burrow has not been very kind, let's say. So hopefully our show will be uninterrupted by Hurricane Burrow. In the meantime, as I mentioned, we got Runaway Dixie with us here right now. Again, it's your friend Russell K. Make sure you join us each and every week, 6:30 to 7 p.m. Eastern. And now, let's go live and meet our special guest, Runaway Dixie. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. How you guys doing out there?
Hello.
Yeah, all good, Russell.
Yeah, we can.
How's everything going?
Hello.
So, tell me about the band. How's the band? Where you guys at right now?
We're in the Northern Territory of Australia at a place called Mataranka. We've been performing here for nearly 2 months. We've got 3 weeks to go.
Wow. So you guys have been on a pretty long tour there. How's the tour going for you right now?
Yeah. Good. Yeah, well, we're doing a residency here, so we're working for it's a tourist trade area, so people going through to Darwin and back to Adelaide, so yeah, and elsewhere around the Cape, right through to Western Australia, so and Queensland. So quite a big tourist trade here. So this is our 4th year doing this through the winter months.
And anybody that might remember the film Crocodile Dundee, that's the area we're in the northern part of the Northern Territory.
Oh, wow. How cool is that? So tell us more about that. So you're actually right where Crocodile Dundee was filmed, right?
We're up close to the areas and around the surrounding areas, yeah. So we haven't seen a crocodile personally ourselves or anything like that, but we're very close to the Roper River, and there are crocodiles in what we understand.
We were playing last week, and there was a snake. We were playing last week, and a snake went through the audience there, so that was a bit of excitement for everybody.
It's very close to nature.
Was it a big snake?
It's very close to nature up here. Apparently so. We didn't see it, but it was reported that there was a snake. But yeah, we got a lizard that lives in our, because we're playing in an outdoor stage where we are, and we've got a lizard that lives in our stage area, and sometimes he's jumping around on the drums and up on the microphone stand, and it's a bit crazy up here, but we're having fun.
So I guess that could be labeled as one of the funniest things that ever happened to you during a live show.
Yeah, well, it's a bit, that's
certainly
right.
Unusual.
It's very unexpected, but you just never know. Every day is a new day, and there's always something to keep you amused. So, it's great, and we enjoy it. This is, as I said, our 4th year up here, playing in the Territory, and it's lovely weather up here. It's running at about 30 degrees most days, so that's pretty good against being down south.
Well, there's one thing that no one can ever blame you for. Your band certainly knows how to get the crowd jumping. Yeah, that's for sure. All right, I love it. So, how did Runaway Dixie become one? How did your band get together?
Well, we were doing a little spot on our normal show where we play country music and old time rock and roll, and so we were doing a spot of bluegrass music. We all love bluegrass music, and of course, North Carolina, being the birthplace of Earl Scruggs, the best banjo player ever, we're very much aware of that. But we were doing a bluegrass little section, and people came up to us and they were saying, "Oh, where can we buy the album? Where can we get the CD?" We hadn't even thought of recording at that stage, but seeing that people were coming and asking for it, we thought we'd do an album, and that was so successful that I think we just finished our sixth album just last year, and starting on another one. So that's how it came about, Russell. Really a fluke, one of those fluke things.
And we just came up with the idea of Runaway Dixie as a name. That was just a name we just thought of out of the air, and here we are 6 albums later, and we're still doing singles and everything, and we're still going. And it was just a momentary parting thought, just to do something one off pretty much, and then it's sort of gone from there, really.
Well, one thing that really stands out to me is I actually had an opportunity to listen to some of your music, and it sounds really, really good. I mean, it's very, very catchy, and so I want to first and foremost thank each and every one of you for making music great. I mean, the music was just so great, and another thing I liked is like your band is all family members. Tell us more about that.
Well, that's true. It's my sister and myself, Lynette, and myself, and then I'm married to Jim. So it is in the family,
Yeah.
so to speak. Well, Jim's been dragged into it anyway, screaming. No, and so no, it's good. And so yeah, we've been doing music. Music is our business. That's what we do. That's all we've done is music for many, many years. I don't know how many years. I'm not going to say, but a long time. So the end result of it is that, like, we get on well together, we tour together, we get around Australia and do a lot of things. We work at the Tamworth Country Music Festival every year. We have our own show there at the Ballardays Homestead, which is a gospel bluegrass show. So yeah, a lot of things happening around the place, and working a lot of the festivals around the country here as well. So yeah, it's been good to us, and we're just rewarded by people like such as yourself that give us time to get our music out to the greater world.
So let's talk about your music. I mean, obviously, there's probably different like musical tastes within the group. How do you all mesh together, and what does your songwriting look like?
Well, I have written a lot of the more recent songs, but Jim and I have been predominantly writing some of the earlier material going back to when we started. And so, yeah, no, it's I think we're, and sometimes that contributes too. So, over the time, I think we've all contributed in our own way.
We're very, very lucky, Russell. The two girls here were brought up in the outback, right? Away from any sort of musical access that I had. I was born in Adelaide, the capital city of South Australia, so I could get music lessons. The girls were virtually self-taught, but luckily between them they play all the bluegrass instruments: fiddle, dobro, mandolin, guitar, bass guitar. So I was lucky to meet two girls that were so talented, and so my contribution is more of a knowledge of bluegrass, and I love bluegrass. So to meet the two girls who were so talented was just a lucky thing for me. But that's how the music sort of has gelled, and the fact that we do everything on the album. From all the instruments and all the singing is all done just by the three of us, and it's mainly because the two girls are so good at playing all the different instruments. I do bass banjo, but all the rest of the instruments are played by Virginia and Lynette.
Oh wow! So when it comes to your songwriting, how do you put your songs together? Is it based on personal experiences, Or I know some people now that they have a computer with all these different words. They kind of like match the beat to the words. What does the band's songwriting look like?
Well, I as a songwriter myself, I would just, I don't know, I just think of a song. I mean, I don't even sort of think about songwriting that much. I just wander through life, and then I write something down, and then we decide that that might be like what we would like to record, or it's got something to it, or I mean, it's a little bit different with Territory Skies, our current single. It's probably more of it is a dedicated single to, or the subject matter is dedicated towards the Northern Territory of Australia, which is where we've been playing the last couple of months. But normally it's a little bit more generalised subject matter. It could be of a romantic nature or something like that, or just general observation or something like that. I don't really have any. We don't really have any set agenda for what we do. But if it's to do with the bluegrass style of music, then I think if I'm writing for our bluegrass band for like the Runaway Dixie to record, it was definitely, we try to include all the bluegrass elements of harmonies and banjo solos and guitar solos and things like that to what we do, as a band.
So let me ask you this: how did each and every one of you begin your musical journeys? How did that work out for you?
Sorry, I missed that. What was that again? Sorry, can you repeat? Thanks. Sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. How did your musical journey begin for each and every one of you?
Oh, for each and every one of us. Well, as Jim said, Lynette and I were originally from South Australia, from the mid-north, and my family were fairly musical, particularly on my grandmother's side, and I'm one of, Lynette and I are one of 7 children, and they were all musical. Mum and Dad were musical, so I grew up in a musical family, really, even though we're living out in the outback, as Jim said. We had a lot of music's not something I'm not sure we ever wanted to do music as so much as it was just part of how we grew up. Never had any, but we did live way out in the outback, I suppose, at that stage. So I guess music was one of our biggest interests. But we still got the radio and that. We could hear the top 40s of the day and all that sort of thing. So I had a lot of influence from that type of, growing up as well. So we weren't quite that isolated. But having said that, that's the basis for Lynette and I, and then we've been playing music. We're involved in other bands as well over the years, so it wasn't just Runaway Dixie. And we're still involved in it as well. So I've had a lot of sideline interests we followed up as well as part of what makes us tick, I suppose, and a lot of interest and understanding of different styles of music. And I'm very open to different styles of music and listening to all sorts of things. So I think that impacts on us. Our survival rate in the music industry, which can be a pretty harsh one, but it's toughened us up because we've been in so many fields and we've just been around, dare I say it, so long. Yeah. Anyway, I'll hand you over to Jim. He knows got something. He's got his own story to tell.
Oh, very briefly, Russell. Yes, I was hit the scene, and of course that, as you would know, Elvis and rock and roll went around the world, and speaking, and so every kid wanted to buy a guitar, and I had a guitar, and I started playing. Was brought up on the old rock and roll, which I still love. Chuck Berry, Little Richard, Buddy Holly, Elvis, Gene Vincent. I love all of those. But of course, then the Beatles, and again, the whole world changed musically, and so I got into the Beatles and started a band then with around about that time. But in later years, I was always a fan of country music and Hank Williams and I loved the banjo and Earl Scruggs when Earl brought out Foggy Mountain Breakdown back for in the movie of Bonnie and Clyde, and the Foggy Mountain Breakdown was used in the background music. and I just absolutely loved the banjo and bluegrass music, and
Whoops.
and so I still love my rock and roll. We do a rock and roll set every night at our shows, and I love the country rock. But my favourite music to listen to is bluegrass, and luckily, as I said before, meeting Virginia and Lynette, who are so adept at playing bluegrass, was just a lucky break for me. But yes, the bluegrass is what I love, rock and roll, and that's how we work our music at our shows. We play a little bit of each of those genres.
Yes, well, in the particular show that we're doing at the moment, we've got 3 bands that we're working as part of. So we've got Peter Code and the Code Sisters. The show that we're doing here at in Mataranka is a country and rock and roll music show, which comprised of 3 acts, which is Peter Code and the Code Sisters, Runaway Dixie, where we do our bluegrass and thing, and then we've got the Jim Hermel Band, which, as Jim said, he does rock and roll section in. So we've got individualised bands doing a sort of a 3-part, 4 people doing styles of music, I suppose, but it gives us the opportunity to be able to do our Runaway Dixie sets and perform our singles and things like that, which has been great.
And Peter Code is the girl's brother.
Yes.
And Peter he's the president of the Australian Bush Balladeers Association, and so he does a lot of Australiana and bush ballads, which is a part of our musical background as well. So in that way, we can give an audience 3 different types. We can give them Australiana, bush ballads, the bluegrass, and the old rock and roll. So it becomes a night, even though there's 4 of us, of being able, luckily, to play the 3 types of genres and hopefully keep people entertained for the moment while we're on stage.
Wow, I love hearing you say that. I mean, it sounds like your band's very flexible, and when you do a show, you're really playing a good mix of everything. Which, I mean, people just love that. People love seeing a band that plays a good mix of music. It sounds like that's exactly what you guys do. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, in the particular show that we're doing here, because we're being employed here to do sort of like 3 different types of acts. So, and that suits us because we've got 3 acts that we can do, and Lynette and I are part of the Peter Code and the Code Sisters trio. So we do the sort of the Australiana and the bush ballad and that type of thing. A lot of the Australiana sing-along type things where we get people, the public involved, singing along and all that sort of jazz. And then we come on with the Runaway Dixie show, which is obviously more formalised with the bluegrass thing, and we do well, obviously we always do our latest single, but we do other songs that we've had in recent times, like Lonesome Highway Blues and some of our earlier songs that we've had in the Golden Guitars and a few of those sort of things. So the end result of that, that sort of encompasses that, and then we change again, and then we have the Jim Hermel Band comes out, which is Jim obviously up the front doing his thing, and Lynette and I play bass then, and Lynette plays. So so it's a pretty sort of a variety, but 3 different acts presented completely differently within the acts. We change our clothes; it's all different. So when we come out, we look like we look for the part, I guess. So so this is quite good for us to get quite a broad lot of music across to people. And it goes over really well. As I said, this is our 4th year doing this particular setup, and it's been a lot of fun. And we like the variety too, because that keeps us on our toes. Having to play all sorts of different music and do that. That's better than just sort of doing the one thing and just sort of being sort of stuck to that, I think. So it keeps us musically active.
and I think that the people enjoy the people enjoy seeing us swap around on the various instruments, because obviously we use a different set of instruments for rock and roll than what we have for the bluegrass, and then we incorporate drums in the rock and roll. So we get the chance to jump around and have all different musical instruments, and the people are very much enjoying enjoy that. So and we enjoy it ourselves. So it all works out well.
No, it's good. So we're very happy that it's been going so well. But it's great because it's the opportunity to do Australian bush ballads and stuff through Peter's work and the Runaway Dixie, things through what we do ourselves with our own band. And of course, Jim gets the opportunity to play some, the good old songs that he likes to play as well. So it's win-win all round, really. And the audience seem to love it. So, well, they give that appearance anyway. So,
Yeah.
we're sort of pretty happy. So that's good.
I love it. So let's talk about your new album. Let's talk about how that came together. Do you have any favorite songs on the album? And the third part of that question would be, how can our listeners are watching now that we'll be watching later? How can they get in contact with you to purchase your amazing music?
Well, at the moment we've got a new single out, Territory Skies, but we hope to have a new album out. We're up to 6 albums that we've released, and if people want to obtain our music, it's only available via digital download from our website, runawaydixie.com. And from there you can go to a digital site that's our own site and get our music from there. If people are interested, it's... we hope to have a new album out this year because it's 15 years. I nearly said 25, but that long. 15 years this year that Runaway Dixie have been together. So we've just released, obviously, Territory Skies. We'll have to release another couple of singles before the end of the year, including an album. So to sort of celebrate 15 years. And it's sort of a bit of a milestone to us. So we try to do something different.
And our albums are a little bit like our concert.
Sorry?
Our album's a little bit like our concert in the fact that they're not all bluegrass. There's bluegrass, there's gospel, and there's country music, and we swap around on the album similar to how we do on stage. So people get a bit of diversity on the album. So and we've done that on every album. We've included gospel music, bluegrass music, and country rock, and it's been very successful for us. So no doubt we've got a lot of the new albums sort of recorded, so hopefully we have the same success with that.
Well, congratulations. That's awesome. And one thing I love hearing you say about the gospel music, I mean, that's great that there's still bands out there that really think that gospel music is very important, especially in the world in which we live today. I mean, gospel music, I would think it would be pretty important, give people hope, right? And so tell us a little bit more about that, about the gospel music that you include.
Well, gospel music is so important. A lot of people don't realize that if it wasn't for gospel music, rock and roll, and we wouldn't have had a lot of the great country music, and we wouldn't have had the great bluegrass. Now, the gospel music that was so predominant, especially in the Carolinas and down in the south of America, that to me gave the dynamics to a lot of that song. The dynamics comes, I believe, through gospel music, that the feel and the music is the fact that we were lucky that so many of those great country music and rock and roll bluegrass artists were brought up through the gospel and through the southern churches, because the music's reverberated around the world. And as I say, rock and roll, country rock, country music, bluegrass would never have been the same if it didn't have that a major ingredient in the ground of gospel music.
And also, in regard to our own music, I think we've written quite a few gospel songs. Quite a few of our songs have been awarded here in Australia through the Tamworth Songwriters Association. Jim and I wrote one called Golden Mile. That was off our first album back in 2009. And I've written a few since that's picked up awards. So now gospel, and we always try to include some sort of gospel songs, a couple, or at least a couple on every album, because gospel is important. It's important to stay grounded with what's happening, and in that world. And I think it is an important inclusion to have on an album. And as Jim said, it's off, and even in our case, I think it's what gives us heart in our music and it gives the heart and soul to music. Really, people perhaps. Some may not realise that, but as Jim said, there would not be the music if it wasn't for that. That's our thought anyway.
Yeah, I love hearing you say that. I couldn't agree with you more. 100% correct. So let me ask you, how did your band get connected with Blue Shamrock Music, who's our sponsor of the Music Dreams USA Radio Artist Spotlight Show? How did that work out for you?
Absolutely wonderful. Stephen's been fantastic to us. So we just put this single here that we've currently got out, Turn to Skies, through Blue Shamrock, and it's been unbelievable. His support has just gone way and beyond, and not only for us as artists, but I know he does that for every artist out there, and everybody's so grateful for his support and connecting us to people such as yourself, and that's just some of the amazing things that he does. And we couldn't be happier than to be associated with Blue Shamrock Music.
Yeah, I mean Stephen Brady, he has a love and passion for artists, and that's kind of what this show's all about: the love and passion for artists, and help them get exposure, getting their music out. And one thing that we're going to try to do in the future is maybe try to put together a festival, get all the people we've interviewed, and bring them into one big show. And that's something that we're going to try to look into. But yeah, I'd love to have you guys a part of that.
Oh, that sounds amazing. No, that's terrific. No, it's been amazing working with Blue Shamrock Music. I'll have to say that it's one of the best organisations that I've struck in Australia. Anyway, we've been around a long time, so yeah, no, it's been amazing, and I can't say enough about how much support we've had personally, and I know there's everybody treats all the artists the same, so it's just amazing support.
As we wind down our show this evening, are there any final thoughts that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Well, I guess, Russell, the only thing that I can say is that we're just so grateful for the American people for bringing this and inventing this music over the many years that they have. We've travelled, we've been to America a couple of times. We played at the Jimmy Rogers Festival in Meridian, Mississippi in 2017. Now, people as yourself that's been brought up and lived with the music, I don't know whether you take it for granted or not, but we certainly don't. To us, it's such a wonderful situation for us to travel to America and the places that we've sung about all the years to visit some of the sites. I speak of Earl's. We visited Earl's grave when we were over in America last time, and it's like visiting Disneyland. There's so much music all around us. And it's so important when we go there. We just love it. It's just a dream come true for us.
And we just want to say how thankful we are that you've had us on the show today, or whenever this comes through, because we're just so appreciative of your support, and it means a lot to us to have our music, go through your network and everything like that. So just thank you so much for having us on the show.
Oh, definitely. I mean, you're a great example of what the show is all about. Some amazing people, and we had some laughs along the way. You got to learn a little bit more about the fantastic work that you're doing, and so thank you for all that you do as well. And appreciate your time for being on the show. And again, thank you so much. We're gonna do a part 2. Okay, we're gonna bring you back on the show for part 2.
Thank you.
That would be great.
All right. Well, again, thank you so much for being on the show this evening. Much success as you continue with your tour right now, where you're working right now. Hope that continues to work out well for you. And again, you take care. Be safe. And again, thank you so much for making music great.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Russell.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And that was Runaway Dixie. Again, and what an amazing group they are, right? I mean, found out a lot of really cool things about them this evening on this evening's show. Again, which is brought to you by Blue Shamrock Music and Music Dreams USA Radio worldwide. And on next week's show, we'll have another fantastic artist coming our way. And special thank you to Stephen Brady and Blue Shamrock Music. Until the next time, it's your friend Russell K. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time on the Music Dreams USA Radio Artist Spotlight Show, which is being brought to you once again by Blue Shamrock Music and the Rise Up Sports Network as well. Take care, everyone. We'll